Oh, we're on. We were singing.
We were.
Okay.
If you call it that. Hello, Wildflowers.
Hello.
Welcome to the show today.
Hello, number 34.
Wow.
34.
We're moving.
And counting.
On.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I'm Judy.
I'm Carol.
And I'm Peggy.
And that's
Thanks
who
for
we
joining
are.
us.
Yes,
Let me turn this
absolutely. Everybody's doing well?
Doing
Yes.
great.
Yeah.
Now, Friday was Arbor Day. Did you plant anything on Friday? Or wasn't the weather crappy
Yes, I
on
did.
Friday?
On Friday?
I planted on Friday, but not trees. I planted
No, because
flowers.
Friday was chilly, because Friday I went out. Did I? No, I didn't. I don't know what I did. Oh, Friday I was at the food pantry.
Oh, okay.
So,
Peggy
yeah,
helps
it
out with
wasn't,
the
it wasn't a nice day. you
No.
know.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I got my plants in, and then wildflowers. I did my seeds for wildflowers because I knew it was going to rain Saturday. I thought,
Yeah.
it'd be good to get them in the ground,
Yeah.
free water.
Well, I didn't
Yeah,
plant
you
them.
were supposed to give me seeds for zinnias like since last year, and I never got them. And I know that you give them to everybody else,
I
along with the
didn't.
Irish soda bread. So.
Oh.
I gave you soda bread, didn't I?
No.
Well, I don't have any more seeds because I planted them, and I'm so sorry. But I will give you. Oh no! I think I have an extra stash. I'll bring it next time.
Either that or give me one of your plants when they grow.
Okay, I could do that. But no, I think I have another jar somewhere. Not my husband's always yelling at me because I have like these baby food jars or prescription bottle empty ones like
Yeah.
stored all over the house.
I have
put
pepper
that.
seeds in one.
Yeah.
I have cilantro seeds.
So it looks like I'm a druggie or have a lot of newborns in my house because I'm always
Yeah.
like. But they're
Yeah.
filled with seeds. So I'll bring you them.
Okay, so Friday was Arbor Day and Saturday was Independent Bookstore Day.
I know, and I felt bad because I didn't go to Theodore's.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I didn't.
It was so crappy out. I didn't go
horrible
anywhere.
weather.
It was like I'm not going
Yeah,
anywhere.
very, but it was even torrential rain. Actually, I did go and got my nails done.
Me too.
and then Natasha and I went to Costco. So, but we didn't do Independent Store Day.
No.
But you thought about doing it.
I did, and I did too. And I said, oh, I really should go to the bookstore because I felt bad. I said, oh, they got such a bad day for it.
Yeah.
You know, usually the weather's like that. You're not going to get a good turnout. So I hope that they did. Yes.
All independent bookstores, I'm hoping they did quite
yeah,
well. Absolutely.
definitely. So,
Okay. All right.
all right.
So I guess wine, I guess.
Yeah,
but-
we might as well.
Wine
We
is
started
okay.
a little earlier here today because
Yeah.
I had to ask these lovely ladies to bump up the time for
Bump up the time. Bump
just
up
for
the
today. So we're doing a little day drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
well,
be it.
Oh, well,
It's
that's
gonna have to
right.
be.
Okay, so the wine that we're going to be tasting today has the coolest name, and I bought it for its name.
I like the bottle.
Conundrum. So we will start by, for those of you who maybe never used that word or you don't know what it means.
Here comes the word.
Okay, so conundrum is a confusing and difficult problem or questions, or a question asked for amusement, typically with a pun in its answer, or it's a riddle. A conundrum could be a riddle or a puzzlement. The origin of the word conundrum seems to be at Oxford University in the 1590s as a nonsense word that the learned used. And it was a pseudo-Latin word used to mean a silly, fussy person. So the meaning has changed since then.
Do you have an example of a conundrum?
You know what? I do have an example of a
Okay.
conundrum. What I think is a conundrum.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay. Do you remember, I grew up in the Catholic Church, going to Catholic school, and once a week a priest would come in and do your religion class for you in high school.
Okay.
And the big philosophical question of the 60s was, Father, if God can do anything, can he make a rock so heavy that he can't pick it up?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like a
Okay.
conundrum, I think.
Okay.
And the other one is that we all know, if a tree falls in a forest and there's no one there to hear it, doesn't make a sound.
Right.
Well, Conundrum is actually the publisher that was in Sideways, the movie Sideways. Which
Oh,
I thought
really?
was hysterical. It was like, of course, and I had a friend who was,
Yeah.
he was also a writer, and he was like, did you catch the name of the publisher? I said, oh yeah, I caught that name. That was too
Okay. And conundrum also means wine.
Okay,
So let me
so
open this.
what kind of wine is it?
This is a white blend. Let me get it open and I
A
will
white
explain.
blend.
Oh, I like this cup. And it was $12.99
I can pour it
and
if you like.
okay, thank you.
Sure.
It's very cold. $12.99 at Total Wine. It's a white blend from California. It's the Wagner family
Just put a little,
estates.
Yeah.
It's a blend of Viognier, which we love that
Oh,
one.
you do like a Vienna?
Muscat, Sauvignon Blanc, and Chardonnay.
Okay.
Let's see.
The bottle is really pretty.
Yeah, isn't it
I
pretty?
love the
I know.
color
I
of
like
the
the
bottle.
green bottle.
Yes.
It's very nice.
Oh, I gotta
And
take a
the
picture.
focused, flavors are pear, peach, and melon.
Ooh, yummy.
And it has a lush and creamy finish. And the varietal, though grape, is actually Sauvignon Blanc.
Okay.
Okay, and it's medium bodied.
There. I took a picture for you folks. We'll post it online.
Excellent. Let's see.
Okay.
When you said
All
all
right.
of those fruits, it reminded me of summer. Pear, peach, and
Yep.
melon. you
Yeah,
said, right?
yeah. So let's see. I've never had it, so
Cheers, ladies.
Cheers.
First,
May 1st
May 1st is coming up.
yeah,
Yeah.
tomorrow. Mañana.
oh, it smells fruity.
Today's the last day of April.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I like it.
It had a real strong taste in the beginning. Hold on.
I like them so cold.
The first taste that I
It's
had.
very, very dry.
It is dry, but my first taste, it tastes like a Jolly Rancher at first. It
Oh,
kind of
really?
shocked me for a minute. It was the melon, or
Yeah.
like, not even, like a now and later. Have you ever had
Yeah.
now and later? Or
Yeah.
Now
No,
it's-
I
it's
like it.
I like it too. It's very good.
How many wildflowers would you give it?
Wow, this.
I would drink this. Yeah, this is delicious.
Yeah, this is very good. I would give this like 5, I think. I really like it.
Really? You never give a 5.
No, I really
this
liked
is
this
very
one.
good.
I didn't think I was gonna like it
And
because
where
I
did you
don't
get
like
it?
Sauvignon.
Right.
Blanc.
Where did-
Wines.
Total Wines. I don't know if I got it at Total Wines. I probably did. I don't remember buying this.
Wow. This
It must have been Total Wine.
Good pick, Peggy.
2021.
2021 Conundrum, California. Total Wine, $12.99.
For a
$12.99.
white wine, I'd give this a 4.5. That's
Charles
really
F.
good.
Wagner, proprietor.
Yeah, you know what? I have to agree. 'Cause,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you would drink this, right?
Yeah,
This
I would
is a nice-
drink this,
And you're
yeah.
not, you
I-
like it even.
It's
you drink it
very
less than I do.
refreshing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
It is very
It's
refreshing.
13.5% alcohol by volume.
Okay.
And it comes in a cool bottle and it has a screw top.
Cool.
So,
Doesn't ruin the nails.
that's right. And you don't have to worry if you're bringing it someplace and you forgot your
That's
corkscrew.
right. Well done.
And that's very important for us. isn't
Yes, it is. I know. I'm always throwing a
We've
corkscrew
been
in my
there.
bag.
Yes, we've been there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's too funny.
Awesome. Thank you, Peggy.
Very good.
Well, this is
Wow.
called day drinking.
I was gonna say day drinking. Usually I don't
This
like
is
it,
my
but
idea with a
whatever.
chilled white. If you're gonna have a day drink, that's what you gotta do.
You have to do it.
If you have to do it,
Yes.
this is the
Yeah.
one. What a conundrum.
No, it's good. Okay.
Excellent.
So you gave it 4.5?
4.5. What,
Four and a
half.
what about you?
4.5.
Yeah, I did the 5. So
Yeah, all right.
the heck.
Which was this your first 5 wildflower?
No, I gave the V&A a 5.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that. I don't remember what
I'll
I
have to
gave it.
go. Let's go to
Yeah.
the videotape.
Yeah.
Well, we've got to go through like 34 of them. Well, I think it's my turn for the book. And I'm starting to do TikTok videos because they have a book talk
Oh.
on TikTok. So I like to promote Wildflowers on TikTok.
Oh, cool.
And so yesterday I was doing this one and I was holding it up to the camera like this, and I looked in the camera and it looks like
Like you have a tie on.
and I'm like, oh my god, this looks silly. But yeah, so the book is called The Devil's Presence, and it's by James Goldsborough, and it comes out on Tuesday, May 2nd. And he's such a good writer. I read his previous book called The Paris Herald, and I love it. It had a lot to do with France and everything, so that was very interesting. this mirrors so much of what's been going on in our country in the last several years, and it's fiction, but the character Andy McKnight is married to this woman who he is horrified to know that she's a Trumper, and it's all her friends too. They're very wealthy, and he is struggling with this. He's having a very big struggle. And so the first part of the description of this is, can fiction save us? Is there hope for America in the time of Trump, pandemics, election deniers, and the end of genuine political discourse? And then he says, Andy McKnight, and that's the protagonist, had never seen anything like it. Nobody had. And as I was reading this, I'm like, are people going to want to read this because it's too close? But yeah, I felt a kinship with this character. And how he made friends with this person that he saw him every Friday or one day a week collecting like garbage, going around cleaning up the community. And then he ended up joining him to help him clean up, and he befriended him, and they had this friendship, and it was sort of like he didn't know where the guy stood, and I'm not going to give too much away, but it was just the relationship with his wife. I'm like, wow, this is like, it's so real. It's, but it's done so well, and he's such a good writer. It's called The Devil's Presence, and I don't want to give a whole lot away, and besides, I read it 2 months ago, so
it sounds very relevant too, and not just because there's a possibility that Trump may be the candidate again, but I think it's because a lot of people, I think, I like how he says he didn't know where he stood, because I've heard that phrase used by a lot of people in my life. It's like, you're afraid, I like this person, but I don't know, I'm afraid, what if they turn out to be a different belief system politically than me, or not.
Or you get afraid to voice an opinion, in a group like at the food pantry, like, I don't know who believes what, and you know what, I don't want to know.
Exactly.
It's like a safe place. And we'll just.
I like that you said that.
Yeah,
it's like a safe place.
Like Twitter and Facebook have really kind of ruined it. I think for everybody, because you used to have all of these friends, that like regular, all your friends. You're like, they're friends for a reason. You have a commonality. You like them for the most part. You know. But then you learned a different side of. They probably learned a different side of you as well, and it makes you want to like, you kind of cringe. But it's like, should you have known that really? I mean, will it affect you in a way, or should it affect you? The way you socialize.
And he doesn't pound it into. He doesn't. It's not anything. Like,
it's not like a bashing.
Exactly.
It's just how he's dealing with it.
Exactly.
I like that idea.
Yeah, he's dealing with it, and it's like let's see if there's anything more. Let me see what else he says here. He says the presidency of this man was breaking up families across the nation, wives and husbands, children and parents, lifelong friends, the fabric of American social life torn apart as it hadn't been since the Civil War.
Wow.
And it's funny because when I talked about the thread collectors, which was about the Civil War, and there was a family that was on one side and a member on the other side, and I was like, oh wow, that's so interesting that, we kind of, we're not really reliving that, but there is that, like, how could you think that way attitude, and like we're just like, and I know that we all have thought like somebody like, what is wrong with you?
How can you believe that, and how could you support someone who basically tried to overthrow the government?
Because
it did try to overthrow the government.
Yes. And yet, you have like on the media, you're finding out, like on Fox, like they knew that it wasn't what it was, and yet they came on the air and they gave the people what they thought the people needed to hear, wanted to hear, instead of
and then
the
you
facts.
Find out after the fact that they didn't believe it either.
Right.
Exactly.
They put ratings before the truth.
That's right.
And
money.
Ratings
Money.
is
Money.
Before the truth.
So that's very disturbing, but I highly recommend the book.
Interesting.
It's just very character driven, and it's I would say it's literary fiction, which I love.
Okay, yeah.
So, again, The Devil's Presence is coming out this Tuesday.
Cool.
It's
Who's the publisher?
City Point Press is the publisher, and it's distributed by Simon & Schuster.
Oh, okay.
So,
Very nice. Thank you, Carol.
Yeah, sounds like a good one.
yeah.
So, I still have so many books that I have to catch up
Me too.
on.
Yeah.
That's why another reason I didn't go to Theodore's books. Because I said, how am I gonna go and I'm gonna buy more books?
Yeah.
And I have so many books that are, like
Yeah.
brand new books that I'm waiting for me to pick them up and
Yeah.
read. So
I feel the same way. I mean, you just feel. I love collecting books, but I
Yeah.
also I've started recently giving away the books that I read, especially the ones that
Yeah.
I recommend a lot.
Oh,
you know,
that's
very
good.
well.
That's good.
The one I did, which I reviewed here,
Was the
was
one
Tom
that-
Phelan's book.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
okay.
You know, we
The
were rich
mushroom
and
pick-
we were
oh,
rich
okay.
and didn't know it. I finished that book. And not to kind of, but the ending was amazing. I think I texted you when
Right,
when I
right.
finished
Yeah.
that book. That ending was it just blew me away.
Oh, I love
just
that.
loved it.
Yeah.
And I finished it actually while I was at my daughter's piano recital. And her teacher is an avid reader too, but she
Yeah.
reads fiction, and this is nonfiction.
Right.
Yeah.
And I said, I go, Miss Stephanie, I said, you've got to read this book.
Yeah.
And I said, take this. I said, just do me the honor of taking
Yeah.
this book and
Right.
reading it. And she
Yeah.
did, and she loved it. You know, and
that's
so
He was
give them
just
away. You know,
at
if you
an
can.
awards
Yeah.
ceremony.
He
was
was.
an honoree at I guess it was some Irish American club or
I hadn't heard
So,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw it was on
Yeah.
his Facebook page. I saw
Yeah.
that. Yes.
Well, when I was watching, because I always watch our videos afterwards to see what we've said, the sunflower, I definitely want, and I wanted to know if we could even. You said like there was a question that was asked,
Yes.
and maybe we could do that question at some point.
Would you like to?
Yeah, what question was it?
I don't remember the question, but
Oh,
The question from the book.
Would you put yourself in that position? Or?
No, the question was the dying Nazi soldier.
Right.
Oh, would
asked
you
him,
forgive?
Can you forgive me for the atrocity that he did? Now, I didn't disclose what that atrocity was.
right, right.
Because I felt like it's a
That
very
was-
short book, and I said a
Yeah.
lot already, and I just want a little bit
I want
there
to
to
read
be
that.
people.
But,
It's like I said. You,
but I thought that would make a good conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know what? Are we
What would
doing
you
it?
do?
No, not
to
to
do it
not
now.
to-
Oh,
no,
okay.
no, I feel
Oh,
like
I could put this away.
Yeah, you, no,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that. Well, say it real quick. Would you-
Well, I think that if anybody asked me for forgiveness, I would feel like I had to forgive them.
Oh, that's interesting.
I really do feel like, okay, now it's on me. Who am I to not forgive someone else?
Okay, let me ask you this then, because we've seen this with parents.
I know,
When-
I know.
She needs one more? No.
Oh,
Yeah, might as well.
you might as well while it's
While
nice
we're
and
doing-
cold.
I
It's
know.
a perfect
This
temperature.
is gonna
When you
be
see
a lot.
parents in the courtroom to
Thank
somebody that murdered their
I
child
know.
and they forgave the murderer, could you do that? Somebody hurt your child.
I don't think that I could just, like they do, like without any communication with that person, they just say, yes, I forgive that person for doing this. That I don't think I could do. I'd be
Right.
too filled with anger and
Pain, yeah.
But I think that if I had a conversation with that person, and if they were like sincere, and like you could usually tell if somebody is just BSing you or they're sincere, and they asked me to forgive them, I think that I would feel obliged to forgive them.
There's a
I
lot
think-
to that though, because
Yeah.
the reasons, like in this case, the soldier was dying. Now, is it sincerity or is it fear of dying?
Yeah,
with a
yeah,
dirty
yeah.
soul.
Yeah.
with unclean hands, essentially.
right, right.
Or
Well, I agree because like also sometimes when for some reason I'm thinking of Chuck Colson when he got caught with the Nixon tapes and all that and when these people are like, oh, I'm so I did wrong, I'm so sorry, and I'm like, are you sorry that you did it, or are you
Yeah.
sorry that you got caught?
Right.
And
right.
that's one thing that I always
But if
wondered.
somebody like murders someone close to you, I mean, and like say that they're going to be convicted,
Right.
most likely.
Hopefully.
So them being
always.
forgiven isn't giving them any benefit legally, right?
Right.
But maybe
It's for you.
It is. it's for the person who's doing the forgiving,
Yeah.
and maybe it's for maybe that's the beginning of their redemption. Maybe that is like, oh my God, I'm sure a lot of people who like go and shoot people, they afterwards like all
Texas.
those teenagers throwing those rocks and
Oh
killing
my
that girl.
God.
I mean, there must be a part of them that says, "Oh my God, what did I do?"
There's not though. It was on the news.
No,
They're not.
no.
They
See, a
they-
person like that I couldn't
that's an
forgive because
immaturity
then,
to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
But
I
it
mean,
makes you wonder how they were raised.
But, and then maybe when those kids are like in their 40s and they're serving time in jail and they've had all of this time to reflect and to mature and to learn,
Right.
maybe that's the time when they say, oh my God,
Right.
why did I do
but
that?
then what if what if those teenagers, and this is going back to the book, and we could talk about this a lot longer,
Right.
but I said that what goes through this book is, what if those teenagers who threw the rock went to you, Peggy, and said, can you forgive me for what I did to
those teenagers,
Yeah.
those particular
Yeah.
ones who are not really sorry
Or what
for
if
it?
what if they said, I'm so sorry for what I did there 20 years from now, and looking back it's awful. Can you, Peggy, forgive me? Because you're a woman and that person was a woman. Can you forgive me? They don't go to the family members. They don't go back, and that's the question that's running
Like
through
coming
this
to
thing.
me, not being connected with
Right.
the crime.
Right.
Right. Because
That's interesting.
Yeah.
that's the theme of this book, which I think is getting missed here, is he,
Yeah.
what he did, his crime wasn't against
That
Simon
person,
Wiesenthal.
right? Yeah,
It wasn't. It was
Yeah.
just, he looked at him as a Jew
yeah,
and said, forgive me for what I did to those Jews over there.
yeah.
And the question becomes, how can I absolve a crime, or can I, if it wasn't done to me personally?
Right. Right.
And so like in the instance you gave with murder children or
Right.
whatever, the parents forgive, because they've been suffered the crime. You took away their child. You've
Right,
hurt
right,
them.
right,
And so there is
right.
something I think that needs, if you're going to forgive, there's an aspect to it. But if, like in this case with the throwing rocks,
Yeah.
they killed a woman. Is it okay for them to come to me or you because I'm a woman?
Right.
And just
Right.
say, please forgive
Well,
me
my
now?
my forgiveness wouldn't really mean anything to them.
But
What is the purpose of me forgiving them,
Well,
even if I do?
if they
Yes,
ask you,
But to me,
Yeah.
forgiving that person for what they did to somebody else is kind of presumptuous on my part.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, I also feel like if it were me, if one of my children were taken from me, this is how I feel. I don't know if I would actually feel, because I can be very forgiving, but I'd be like, I can't dishonor my child. You took their life away. I can't get past that. I'll fucking kill you now.
Yeah.
Because I would want to I would be so enraged.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I can imagine that I would be too.
Yeah.
But I would think that
And I know what
taking
you're
a
saying.
positive step towards, like, forgiving somebody who did that to you, to your family, who only if I felt that they were sincere in
Right.
their apology, I think that's taking a positive step for me personally,
Right.
and for them. Maybe that is, like I said before, part of their redemption. Like they're trying to redeem themselves for a heinous act that they
Right, yeah.
committed.
But would you
What?
feel the same way if there was no personal redemption and the only benefit would be to the person asking?
I think, like in the case of like maybe a priest forgiving our sins.
Okay, let me make it really hard for you.
Okay.
Donald Trump.
I know. That's
On
going
his
in my
deathbed
head.
comes to Peggy. I was a real shit. I need you to forgive me.
I don't think that I would believe Donald Trump. That's the problem. Because he lies about everything,
But
and
you know,
everything is
but-
for his benefit.
But that's what you know about him.
Yes.
But the person that's asking you, that you're using the example, if you know nothing
Nothing
about
about
this
him.
person.
Sometimes I think that I'm intuitive with people. Like I can meet someone and know whether or not I'm gonna end up liking them. Maybe they'll be, well, yes, but I did. I think I'm intuitive. I stuck with it, didn't I? So
Yeah.
something
Yeah, you did.
inside me. This is because when I first met Carol, I didn't really like her. We've been friends for 30 years, okay? But I said, okay, so I wasn't convinced,
Right.
you know, so I stuck with
but we
it.
had
And
time.
actually, I'm the one who maintained our friendship because when you went to friggin' Park Avenue, you like disappeared off the map.
It's coming out now. It's coming out.
You like disappeared, you stopped getting
I
in
was
touch with me,
busy. Oh my
and I was
God.
like, I'm not gonna let her not be my friend, damn it. And I would call her up when she was at work, and then I did. I was very persistent.
Ooh, this
I'll
is
raise
good.
my
This is
glass
good
to
wine.
you.
To friendship.
How about those jets?
No, that's awesome. We got off the rails a little bit.
Totally off the rails, but
This is a great topic.
Yeah.
It shows why you should read The Sunflower by Simon Wiesenthal because
Yes. Yeah, I
there's
have
so
to read
much
that.
to unpack in this book, and I love, like I said, I want to get
What
the
did-
original
I have an
version.
idea. I have an idea.
What?
Why don't you've already read it?
Yes.
Why don't Carol and I read
Okay.
it too? And one of our discussions
Yay.
will just be about that book and the philosophy behind
Yeah.
it.
You
And-
read it too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It'll be the
Email us.
Wildflowers book club.
Yes, and let us know what you
Sunflower,
would
how
do.
perfect.
Let us know what you would do, because I
No.
think it's easy read, and you don't even have to read all the people. Like, you have 46 pages for the story, and then read. You know,
Right,
you can.
right.
It's,
Yeah,
it's
like-
such a thin book. You'll
Yeah.
be able though to read.
Maybe we could
Yeah.
invite some of our past guests.
Yeah.
guests
If
or
you
whatever
read it
to-
and you want to be a part of the
Why
audience,
don't we
come here.
invite our past book club
Oh, that's a
and
good idea.
we'll do it. We'll say everybody
I'm getting all
reads this book,
excited now.
and then we could do it like in July or something.
for our anniversary.
Oh, yes.
We have to do it like after. Well, we'll go out the day because there's certain days that are blocked with
Yeah, we'll
some people
we'll
that I
figure
know.
it
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. Do you
Yeah.
like that?
Come on, book
I think
girl.
that's a good idea.
Start reading.
Okay.
Awesome.
Alrighty.
All right,
Okay.
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Good.
Yeah,
That's what we're gonna do.
Now we have to go buy another book.
I know. That's okay. I don't mind buying that.
No,
This
I
one.
one's
don't
a
mind.
good book. It's
Yeah.
a good book.
Yeah, no. I'll
All right, so now we'll transition to the actual topic. Which
That's totally
Okay.
fine.
And it won't be that long.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Again, I thought I was going to do something completely different. I keep pushing it back. But then I decided I wanted to talk about the future of work for a long time. It's a topic that's very important to me. I know we've had discussions. Since the pandemic, America workers have had to readjust the way that they've worked.
Yes.
And now that the pandemic is kind of getting in our rear view
Right,
mirror, we've seen a lot of the news stories about people trying to basically stuff the genie back in the bottle and try to make everybody go back to the way things were. And I really have an issue with that, and I kind of wanted to talk about that now and get your perspectives, because in a lot of ways, you, Carol, have been a work from home person way before the pandemic,
Right.
and have done so successfully. But also, you do independent work, so as a contractor or
Exactly. Yeah.
independently. But it's a new way. I'm an attorney, obviously, and a lot of my work is able to be done at home, and I don't go into court as much anymore. The court I do is administrative by nature, and so a lot of that is during the pandemic shifted to doing it online because it's administrative. We're not talking about murder hearings here or anything like that,
right.
and it works, and on top of it works, we're saving the taxpayers thousands of dollars. I mean, before pandemic, they would have to fly me and every witness I would need to go to wherever, pay them witness fees, pay for hotels, cars, 3 meals a day, court reporters, everybody,
That adds up.
thousands and thousands of dollars for maybe a 2-day hearing that results in maybe a suspension.
And
or
it's
license.
taxpayers'
Oh, it's
money.
taxpayer
Yeah.
money. And then we could do the same exact hearing via Zoom, and nobody's got to fly anywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
And now there's a big shift to get us all back to doing it the way. And I think taxpayers should know about this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so trying to figure this out, I started doing a little research on it, because come May, the Office of Personnel Management, which governs, federal government employees and how they do it, announced that on May 13th of 2023 that they're going to remove the COVID-19 government-wide, operational status announcement, and they're encouraging workers to re-enter. Now, this has been a work in progress. Where I work, they've tried to say, okay, come back once a week, but where I particularly work, the head of my office is insisting coming back twice a week at least, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is actually when we get down to it, and when you go into an empty office, when there's nobody else there, just to do Zoom hearings from an office building where you're by yourself, is ridiculous. And again, a waste of money, a waste of resources, and a waste of time.
Just having that office building.
I'm in a 5-story office building, which was half empty before the pandemic.
Yeah.
You can imagine what it's like now.
Yeah.
And again, taxpayer dollars here, everybody, so let's pay attention. So, but I kind of wanted, I read a few things, I did a little research, and in 2022, August last year, the New York Times had an article called "The Office is Dying. It's time to rethink how we work."
Mm-hmm.
And, they said at that time, this was in 2022, August, 1/3 of the office workers were back full time at that point in time, okay? And they took a survey in 2021 in preparation for this article, asking managers how they predicted how many of their workers would be back to the office full time in the coming year. And the managers said 50%, they thought. They took the same survey in 2022, and the managers said 20%.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the point of this is in-person working, in my opinion, the way it was, is dead. Like I said, the genie is out of the bottle. We can do it. What's driving this, that we have long commutes to half-empty offices just to sit on Zoom calls, is pointless.
It's
Now,
ridiculous.
I wanted to say there are jobs, as we know, that can't be done remote. And I'm not talking
like
about
retail jobs,
retail,
and things
doctors,
like that.
police, hospital staff. I'm not saying that, but for the office, like me, where the government has, before the pandemic, they expended so much money on updated laptop equipment, video cameras, phone systems that ring to your computer. They were paperless files so that you get everything delivered. They spent all that money, yet now they're saying, we don't really want you to use it.
Yeah.
Come back to the office.
Wow.
And it's really for what reason?
I don't know. And should they give a reason why?
No. Oh, they say, you need the camaraderie, the banter around the water cooler.
You can meet once a month and go out to eat, or,
I've been connected more with my colleagues on Zoom calls lately than I've done more actually in the office. Because when you're in the office, people can't afford to live in the cities anymore where the offices are, so you have to beat the traffic home. So I know, at least when I was there, I'd get in early, leave early, skip my lunch, right? Because I'm trying to beat that traffic. I didn't want to talk to anybody in the office. It took up too much time. Now I could socialize, at least with people, in a different way. But the Netherlands, there's been a lot of surveys how the Netherlands, have it right, and they've had it right for a very long time. They're consistently ranked the happiest country, the happiest people. Now, pre-pandemic,
I thought Finland was the happiest people in the world. Finland.
Well, Netherlands is happy too.
Yeah, I would be happy.
I would be happy in Finland too. I saw it actually. Well, we'll talk about that later. Anyway, pre-pandemic, 14.1% of the people in the Netherlands already worked remotely. Compare that with 4.7 in the UK and 3.6 in the US.
Wow.
That was pre-pandemic.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay. Now this is now current day. The Netherlands Parliament approved legislation making working from home a legal right.
Oh, wow.
A legal, not illegal.
No, a legal right. Ireland, and I didn't know this about Ireland, Ireland also recently passed a law allowing workers to request the right to work from home.
Oh.
Okay?
Okay, cool.
Germany, there's no legal right to work from home remotely, but the country's largest trade union publicly announced recently support to any employer who ignores Tesla's, I can't stand him, Tesla's demand to return to the office. He's such a dickwad.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry, but he really is.
Yeah.
For somebody who's so progressively minded, he's so masochistic.
Did you hear him on
I
Bill?
hate him.
He was on,
I hate him.
He was on Bill Maher this last week, and that was the first time I actually heard him in a long conversation. which was rather interesting.
He could have such great ideas, but to be such an idiot
Yeah.
in other ways, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I can't stand him.
No,
And
I
so,
want
good for
Twitter
you,
to
Germany.
fail totally
Oh,
because of him.
I won't. I had the
I'm
option.
trying to get
no.
off Twitter, and the only way that you could do it is to put in your password, and it keeps on telling me, nope, that's not your password, and it is.
Well,
I got off it way
Yeah,
before.
I can't get
the
off
second
of
he
it.
took over, I said,
So
"Oh,
I
no."
did
just,
too.
I
I
deleted
deleted
the app.
Yeah,
but
no,
I'm
he's
still
awful.
on.
Oh, but anyway, so
Yeah,
good for you,
different
Germany,
subject.
because he was one of the earliest ones to come and say, everybody, you need to
Yeah.
come back to the for somebody like so technologically advanced.
Exactly, yeah.
You're making
Yeah,
people go
that's-
And
back.
that
It makes
company,
no.
yeah, I know.
What a hypocrite! Okay,
Yeah.
so there you are. All right.
she's
He's trying to
Portugal.
make friends.
Portugal has a law prohibiting employers from contracting workers after their business hours, trying to
Oh,
restore
okay.
work-life balance. And if they
Yeah.
violate that, they can be fined.
Wow.
Okay, so
Wow.
there's other
Yay,
countries are
Portugal.
having a shift
Uh-huh.
in the way that they're
Well,
rethinking work.
Well, Europe has always been a lot more progressive in that regard than us, even just with the vacation.
Right.
Like nobody works in Europe the month of August.
God, I
it's
know.
like,
But then I thought, well, what is this costing us, right? Like, why do they want us to get back so much?
Right,
Because is
right.
there a cost benefit? So I looked into that too. And there's not. So Harvard and Stanford did a study way before the pandemic. Okay, so 2015, and they said that in the United States, the workplace stress, it counts for about approximately 120,000 deaths a year for workplace
goodness.
stress, and in excess of $190 billion in healthcare costs, all attributable to workplace stress.
wow.
Remote workers, however, according to the study, have reported better lifestyle choices. Their diet is better. They're getting increased exercise.
That makes
And the
sense.
way that, why is that? Well, because there are less commutes, right? They're getting
Uh-huh.
extra sleep. They're getting
Yeah.
more time with family. They're getting eating better, healthier, rather than from vending machines or
uh-huh.
fast food places
Uh-huh.
that are nearby that go quick. And
Saving a shitload of money.
right, and 6 out of 10 companies that they were part of this study reported that they identified cost savings from remote work. Best Buy, Telecom, and Dow Chemical reported that remote workers were 35 to 40% more productive than those who actually came into the office.
That doesn't surprise me.
It doesn't. And so in-office workplace distractions, they estimated, amounted to $600 billion a year loss.
What do you mean, like socializing?
Yeah, socializing, you're sitting there going around the water cooler, just kind of flitting around. Sexual harassment cases, right? If you're not in the office, you can't really, very hard to sexually
Yeah.
harass or workplace bully. And a lot of this stuff, those are payouts and litigation
Right,
and
yeah.
all of this other things, right? Okay, so let's rethink the workplace. And there was an interesting news story online and also on the news channel of CBS where they looked at having less meetings, because what a lot of people in remote work situations do find, the negative aspect of it is there's so many meetings now, because bosses are not trusting their workers to be actually working, right? They
Yeah.
think, they're doing all. So the more meetings you have, then I know your presence sitting at
Right.
this desk. So there's getting something like a workplace burnout. And on average right now, workers who do remote work, about half of their work week is dedicated to meetings, which is a lot.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
if you're
that
doing,
is a
say,
lot.
a 40-hour work week, 20 hours
Yeah.
of that is meetings. So they estimate that a lot of these meetings are not necessary, and they're encouraging people to use a meeting calculator. It's called a meeting cost calculator, right? Focus on quality of the meetings rather than quantity. We could so use this where I work. I spent a meeting at my line of business recently where because they got a really bad survey, a climate survey, and everybody is just very unhappy apparently in this business. So what does management do? We need to socialize more. So out of an hour meeting, 40 minutes of it was spent on playing games.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, like
Jeopardy.
like
Let's do it. Jeopardy,
icebreakers.
icebreaker games. And I go, and
hated
then you
that
think
at
about
Borders.
these,
I hated
these
it.
are attorneys on the office.
Yeah.
The cost of that meeting for the
ridiculous.
taxpayers to do an icebreaker game for 40 minutes was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's this is what they could benefit from using these meeting cost calculators. So you don't, so if you have an engineer, an architect, do I really need to have that engineer, that architect, or do I just need the engineer? and then they can email the findings to the architect afterwards and say, put this into place, right? And it'll tell you how much a meeting will cost you if you include all of these people that you think of. Not only to the business, could work for the government as well, right? That could help alleviate some of this fatigue. Because what's out there is now being known as the Great Resignation. A lot of high talent, high experienced people are resigning from their jobs because they're recognizing that you no longer have to live where you work.
Yeah.
And, they are losing talent due to a lot of bosses like Tesla's workplace inflexibility.
Yeah.
And another article, this was done by Matt Reeder in Forbes in February of last year. He recognized this in an article called Remote Work's Impact on Communities and What It Means for Your Business. While yes, some of the cities might be struggling because you're not having so many people going to after hour, happy hour, or
the restaurants, the lunches,
But the small communities are getting bigger and thriving
because those people are home and they're patronizing their local businesses,
and they're bringing their families out for dinner because you know what, they sign off at 5 or 6 and they can go out to dinner with the family at the local restaurant.
All the money that they spend commuting, they can spend in their own communities.
So what this Forbes article recommended that managers and business will need to know is, they're in order to increase the talent, the quality of talent, they're going to have to get more creative. They're going to have to demand location independence. That's what a lot of this high quality people are doing, demanding location independence. Have borderless remote teams. They need to be asynchronous, meaning there's a lot of these teams that are in different time zones. I face that where I work because we're work for the government, right? So there's a lot of people on the West Coast or internationally. Let the teams decide what these meetings are and how they're going to communicate effectively. Don't put these demands. You need to be here for a 10 a.m. meeting, when I say so, and be everybody on Zoom. Right. And good employers will get creative with the benefits. For example, where this person talked about one business gave employees a monthly remote worker stipend. To help for things like high-powered internet, or better quality desks and chairs or something like that they can use.
Sure, all the money that they're spending on rents and that they're saving by not spending it on like a physical building.
I have to say, my experience working remotely, I was happier during this whole time.
Oh, absolutely.
I was healthier. I was more productive. I got more awards and cases completed and done than I ever did getting into the office. And mandatory coming back, it's been a negative effect on me. My commute, just to go in 2 days a week, that's a minimum, because we're talking about New York traffic, 6 hours a week that I'm losing on commuting time. Right. A minimum of 6 hours less of sleep I'm getting because I have to go get up earlier and get everything ready beforehand. Higher stress because now I got to raise home because I have children. I've got a husband with an unpredictable schedule. So I've got to worry about getting things home or scrambling for last minute things. And to compensate for that, I'm working longer hours on the days that I am remote working. Right. Because I'm working shorter hours in the office. Yeah. Right. Because I need to beat this commute to get home. So it's throwing everything in chaos, and I'm going into an office that's empty. Yeah. Absolutely empty. And so the increased isolation and frustration is killing me. Plus, don't even get me started, like I talked about the increase of taxpayer dollars that we are losing. And so, I don't want to call out people, but people got to wake up. People have to wake up here and realize, and if you're a taxpayer, look at it. Everyone wants to get us back to work, office back to work, but you know what? This is coming out of your paychecks, your tax dollars that are doing this. If it's a government, if it's a private industry, pay attention to how they're paying, they're treating it. That's my thoughts. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, it's funny you're talking because when I had an office in Park Avenue, and I worked out of, and I was the only corporate person that worked out of Manhattan. And after 9/11, when we lost a bookstore downtown, everybody got shifted, and they asked me if I could work from home because my job was, it was with the corporate office, and I was like, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to go in for major events.
Big events,
you
yeah.
know, that kind of
As
thing.
needed.
Yeah,
Which you do
exactly.
too.
And that was
That's
fine.
what we did during the pandemic. Yeah, as
Yeah.
needed, you come in.
And I loved it, so that when Borders kind of had let me go, they let my whole department go, I was like, I don't want to find another job. I want
Yeah.
to work for myself.
Yeah.
Because I basically was working for myself. And I reported to somebody, but reported. And I was just like, and I remember my older daughter was like, Mom, you got to go get a job. You got to go find a job. I'm like, you know what? I think, because people had told me like even a year before Borders folded and stuff, Carol, you could start your own job. You could be a publishing consultant.
Yeah.
And the very first day, and I remember I met up with you, and I was like, Peggy, they'll let me go. And
Oh, sorry, we went to the diner.
yes, we did. See, I got in touch with Peggy.
Yeah, I know.
She did.
After I forced her to be my friend.
No, but then I was that very day. I don't know how I did it, but I got a job. Freelance work. Like, okay, all right. I think I can do this. And I've done that since 2005.
Yeah.
And that was when my first novel came out too. So it gave us the freedom to travel,
Yeah.
to go tour with my book,
Yeah,
which was
that's
a lot
right.
of fun. So
That
yeah,
was-
that's my take on it. I don't know that I could ever report or work for somebody. Well, it's
Well,
too
yeah,
late now.
it's now as I get older, I know, because I have thought about leaving the job because the government is being so inflexible now
Right, yeah.
and very strong, and they put out one thing, we're pro-family and pro-environment,
Yeah.
Pete Buttigieg, you're not, because if you're forcing
Yeah.
people to do this kind of commute when they
Right.
don't need to, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I'm
Now, explain
only
to
looking
people-
for remote work.
Can
at this
you
point.
explain to people why you said Pete Buttigieg? Did you report?
He's the head of the DOT.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And my agency is a branch of the DOT.
Okay, I just
Yeah.
wanted that clarity.
Sorry. Yeah. And so I wasn't gonna say it, but I'm gonna say it.
No,
Yeah.
because
no, absolutely.
he's I'm sure got an interest for president, and I thought I liked him.
You know what? I
And I'm
think
not that.
to
He needs a
me,
better handle on what's going on with the people he's putting into power.
well, to me, Pete Buttigieg seems like he's the kind of person who would listen. Like if you went to him, like
We went
send
to
him an
him.
You
email
have gone to
and
him? Yeah.
does he respond?
I'm just at the union that I know has gone.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe as an individual, you could just, raise your voice. He seems like the kind of person who
I'll
would,
send him
like,
this
one-on-one.
and let him know
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
it's not just me, it's for the parents out there that I think
Yeah.
they are dealing with so much uncertainty, and if they have a job that can be done and has been done from work, why make their life any harder?
Yeah, and especially since it partially solves a daycare
I was just going to
problem.
say the same
I mean,
exact
like you
thing.
do have to work, so you.
Yeah.
But you could probably hire somebody to come in your house and hang out for a couple of
And
hours.
it does.
And then you're still right there. You are raising your child in their home,
Yeah.
and the importance of that is it's just like.
You can't put a price on
No,
it.
you
And
can't.
it's not even
exactly.
my children are older now. I'm not to the point where you're going to leave them hours and hours unsupervised. But the point is like
They
there's
still
a lot.
need
They
you.
need to be driven a lot.
Right.
like,
They've got organ
and
things to
so
do.
my day, say I'm ending at 5, whatever it is. If I'm in the office, I'm not going to get home till 7:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now my kids have to be driven to many places between that. So now I don't have to hire
And your
somebody to pay for
husband
that.
works shift work too.
He worked, and
So,
it's not dependable. I mean, his schedule changes every week, very last
Yeah.
minute. So you can't depend on that.
Yeah.
Right.
And so this is the aggravation they can take out of the way. So I'm not asking for a child.
Yeah.
I'm just asking not to have a 2.5 damn hour
Yeah.
commute.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's important, I think, and we have the means of doing this.
Yeah.
And we need to listen.
And it worked
Yeah.
for the past
It
3
worked
years. It's been
fabulous.
working.
It worked fabulous.
My daughter Samantha, she also has a government job, and she works from home.
Right.
Yeah.
And when they tried to get them to all go back to the office, all the government workers, it was a blanket thing. Like,
Right.
yes,
Yes,
we're all
all
going
we did,
back. and her boss in her government agency said, listen, you guys don't have to do it, because Samantha explained to him it doesn't make sense. If I go back to the office, she's a regional director. Nobody else is in the office with her. They're all in different cities.
That's how it is with me.
So she said, I could be here, or you're gonna make me drive 2 hours to Baltimore, and they're still not with me, and I'm still communicating via my computer.
Well, that's how it is with me. I mean, my clients are all over the country.
Yeah.
And I sit there and have Zoom meetings. I've had Zoom meetings with my boss, who's 2 offices down. Like, you know, it doesn't make any sense.
I know.
You know, and I'm like, why am I sitting here? You know, maybe for one person or 2 other people. You know, but anyway, like, it's just I thought it was important to talk, because I did see this coming out, and the more I thought about the money that's being spent, you know, for
people need to know.
People need to know. I mean, I used to do these like basically continuing education for medical doctors and so part of it, and they would fly me out to all over the country, right, to do a 1-hour presentation, always on a weekend, so that's overtime. That's 2 days of hotel and meals.
Right.
And then during the pandemic, I would just do this 1-hour presentation by Zoom.
Yeah.
And it worked. And then now they're like, okay, you got to go to New Mexico, and I go, can I just do this by Zoom? No.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, what? There's something wrong. Somebody's getting paid, and it's not me.
Right.
You know, some lobby or somebody is with your taxpayer dollars.
Yeah.
You know, needs to be aware of this, that this is going on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What do you think? Do you have this issue? Are you working from home still, or do you? Maybe you have a job that you can't, but for those
That was I was always pretty much, most of my jobs were, I was a retail manager.
Right, you have
So
to.
I always had to go
And
there.
it's always going to be that exception.
Right.
But for the ones that are there, you know, in this case, I think it's kind of crazy to do
Well,
this.
you did a lot of research, but you're also living it firsthand.
Oh, I'm living it firsthand for the time being.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's
It was interesting. Interesting.
And our heart breaks for that. But the wine was good.
The wine was
Yes, the wine was very good.
So thank you so
Thanks
much
for watching, everybody.
Let us know. Feedback. We love feedback. Positive, negative, whatever. We've decided. At least we know you're there.
That's right.
Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Are we done?
Oh, the dogs. You know we're done the podcast? Are you knowing we're done?
Hi, everyone.
But we're still on.
We're still on, Carol. You're talking to the dog.
Like, because they were such good babies this time. They were such good babies.